If you wake up tired every single day, even after sleeping 7 or 8 hours, it doesn't mean you're lazy. And in many cases, it's not simply because you didn't sleep deeply enough. This experience is actually more common than most people realize. A lot of people go to bed at a reasonable time. They try to rest. Some nights they even fall asleep quickly because they're completely exhausted. But the next morning, when the alarm goes off, their body still feels heavy. Their mind feels foggy. And instead of feeling restored, it feels like their system never truly powered down. After a while, many people start accepting this as normal. Work gets busier. Life becomes more demanding. Responsibilities keep growing. So the assumption becomes, of course I'm tired. That's just adulthood. But from a physiological perspective, waking up exhausted after what should be enough sleep is not your body's ideal state. In many cases, it means that the recovery process inside your body is not happening as efficiently as it should. One of the most important things to understand is that sleep and recovery are not exactly the same thing. We often think about sleep in a very simple way. If you sleep 8 hours, you should feel rested. If you sleep less, you'll probably feel tired. But the human body doesn't operate like a simple equation. Sleep happens in different stages. Some stages help the brain organize memories and process emotions. Other stages allow the body to repair tissues, regulate hormones, and restore energy at a cellular level. During deeper stages of sleep, the body carries out many of its most important repair processes. This is when the brain clears certain metabolic waste products. Muscles release built-up tension. Hormones involved in recovery and immune balance begin to stabilize. But here's the key point. Spending 8 hours in bed doesn't guarantee that your body actually spent enough time in those restorative stages. Sleep has two important dimensions. The first is duration. The second is the quality of recovery that happens during that sleep. If the depth of recovery is reduced, simply sleeping longer doesn't necessarily solve the problem. You may technically be asleep, but your body may not be fully restoring itself. One of the most overlooked factors in non-restorative sleep is the state of your nervous system. Your nervous system is constantly scanning the environment around you. It determines whether your body should stay alert or shift into repair mode. When the nervous system senses pressure, it keeps the body slightly activated. That pressure doesn't have to be physical danger. In modern life, it often comes from other sources: constant information, mental overload, emotional stress, late-night screen exposure, or unfinished thoughts from the day. Even if you don't consciously feel stressed, your nervous system may still be operating in a subtle state of alertness. If your brain is still stimulated before bed by bright light, scrolling on your phone, work thoughts, or emotional tension, the nervous system may not fully shift into deep relaxation. You may still fall asleep. You may even sleep through the entire night. But your body may not enter its most efficient repair mode. This doesn't always look like insomnia. You might not toss and turn. You might not wake up repeatedly. Sometimes you sleep quite steadily. But the depth of that sleep may simply not be enough to restore your energy. When restorative sleep is reduced, several small changes can happen overnight. Your muscles may not fully release the tension built up during the day. Your heart rate may not drop into its optimal recovery range. Stress hormones may not decrease as much as they normally would. And the brain may not complete certain natural cleanup processes that occur during deep sleep. The result is subtle, but noticeable. In the morning, you wake up feeling like some of the fatigue from the day before is still there. Your mind feels a little slower. Your body feels heavier. Motivation feels lower. It's not dramatic. It's not alarming. But it's a sign that recovery may not have been complete. If this pattern repeats night after night, fatigue slowly becomes the new baseline for how your body feels. You might recognize some of the signs. For example, you wake up with a slight pressure in your head. Coffee feels necessary just to get started. Your body feels stiff even though you didn't exercise heavily the day before. Your energy drops noticeably in the early afternoon, and by evening you feel tired, but still not completely relaxed. Each of these signs on its own might seem small, but when they appear together, they can suggest that your sleep cycles and nervous system are not fully synchronized. One reason people often overlook this issue is that standard medical tests frequently appear normal. Blood tests look fine. Blood pressure is stable. There is no obvious disease. But energy regulation is more subtle than that. Your daily energy depends on the interaction between several systems: your nervous system, your circadian rhythm, your hormones, and the cellular repair processes happening throughout your body. These systems can become slightly out of balance long before a clear medical condition appears. That's why persistent fatigue after sleep is often one of the earliest signals that your internal regulation may not be fully optimized. It's usually not dangerous, but it's also not something to ignore. Modern life also makes deep recovery harder than it used to be. Our nervous systems rarely get true periods of stillness. Notifications, artificial light at night, constant streams of information, emotional stimulation, and cognitive pressure keep the brain active for much longer than it was designed for. Without periods of calm, the body has a harder time transitioning into deeper recovery. One important thing to remember is that recovery doesn't actually begin when you fall asleep. In many ways, it starts hours before bedtime. The state of your nervous system before sleep strongly influences how deep your sleep becomes later that night. If you've been waking up tired for months, it doesn't necessarily mean something is seriously wrong with your body. But it may be a signal that your recovery system is working below its optimal level. And recovery is not just about sleeping longer. It's about creating the conditions that allow sleep to become truly restorative. Reducing stimulation in the evening, dimming lights earlier, giving your mind time to disconnect from constant input, keeping a consistent sleep schedule, and helping your nervous system feel safe enough to relax. Small adjustments like these can gradually help your sleep become deeper and more restorative. The most important thing to remember is this: you are not weak, and you are not lazy, and you're not imagining this fatigue. In many cases, waking up tired after adequate sleep is a regulation issue, not a character flaw. Your body is trying to adapt to the load it carries, and sometimes that long-term adaptation shows up as fatigue. In the next video, we'll talk about a very common state called wired but tired, when your body feels exhausted, but your nervous system still remains slightly activated. Understanding that state can help you see more clearly what may actually be happening inside your body. If this topic is helpful to you, consider subscribing to Body Signals Lab, where we explore the science behind the signals your body sends every day. Because real recovery begins when you understand how your body truly works.